The Adventist Musician Network is an authorized licensee of the name Adventist and is recognized by the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists as an independent Christian organization within the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Adventist Musician Network is not affiliated with or financially supported by the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. All views expressed, content, and opinions with all services offered reflect those of the Adventist Musician Network and not the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Sing the love of Jesus on A.M.N. Live. Hear the love of God every Saturday night. Singers, musicians, SDA Christians, worship the Lord, your Savior and mine. Come on, come on, let's A.M.N. Live.
Everybody, let's go.
A.M.N. Live. You're watching A.M.N. Live. A.M.N. Live. You're watching A.M.N.
L'Éternel est mon berger, je ne manquerai de rien. Dans les moments tristes de gaieté, quand mon âme est affligée, mon roi, tu peux lire en moi. Tu es le grand consolateur, oui, toi seul connais mon cœur, bon Père. Ta puissance opère, tu m'entends et tu me comprends, moi ton enfant. Dans les moments difficiles, je n'ai que toi et ça me va. Toi conduis-moi, j'ai besoin de toi. Quand ça ne va pas, je m'appuie sur toi. Guide mes pas, même dans la joie. Quand ça va, je sais que c'est grâce à toi.
Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight on a Saturday night A.M.N live. I am joined tonight by Mr. Tinashe McGowan and his mother, Ms. Zenaida, and we're just excited about tonight's show. I moved to Dallas some 10 years ago, close to 10 years ago now, and I recall sitting in church one Sabbath, and there was this young person that I could even see behind the banner sitting at the piano, and they were just playing this amazing music. And I honestly couldn't even see who it was, but I remember asking some people around me, "Now, who is that playing? Who is that?" And they said, "Oh, this Tinashe." I'm like, "Okay, who is that?" That's nice. The name is nice, but I need to find out who it is. So luckily, we're here tonight with. I used to refer to him as Tinashe Maestro, Tinashe, when I would hear him play. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. And so tonight, I thought they would be really nice to have him to come on, along with his mother, to kind of share with us. So welcome to the A.M.N Saturday Night Live, Mr. Tinashe and Mother Z. How are you doing today?
Very good.
Very
Good,
great.
good.
We are grateful to be here. Thank you for the invite. Thank
Thank
you.
you for accepting. Thank you both for accepting. I was excited. I've been talking to everyone that I know about tonight's program. I wanted to make sure that everyone had the opportunity to hear uh, what the gift that Tinashe has, and I wanted to also just kind of get a little of the background conversation and story as to how he came to this place and how you, as the mother, kind of keep that balance with him being a growing teenager and also the budding musician that he is. So I do just want to jump right in on this conversation with you both. I guess the first question that I would like to ask and just kind of get some feedback from you both is I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. So I moved here about 10 years ago. So to not say you're currently 15, correct?
Yes, sir. I am.
So that means that, 10 years ago, you were 5 years old at piano playing.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Five.
Right. Okay. So show the audience, what age did you start playing?
I started playing formally well before from like 3 years old, but I formally started lessons when I was 4 years old. So
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Wow. And what was it that drew you to the piano specifically as an instrument of interest?
well, all my life I had several pianists around me, but so I always felt a connection to piano. I've tried other instruments, but I just don't feel as strongly towards them as I do at rather than piano. So, and my mom and my grandfather and all those people in my life, they introduced me to it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So you just piano was just like a natural fit for you.
yes, sir.
So what other instruments did you attempt to play?
Well, in middle school, I played French horn. I
Okay.
I started. I was pretty good at it, but like I just didn't feel like as strongly towards it, so I didn't really continue it. Uh, I played a little bit of violin in elementary school,
Okay.
but same pretty much same with French horn. I didn't really continue after.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it shows in your playing that you really do have a love for the piano. It seems really natural to you. I always, when I watch musicians play, I kind of watch to see their connection with their instrument. Sometimes, believe it or not, you can see someone playing an instrument and it looks like it's a struggle. so so it's kind of like, okay, you can play, but I don't know if you really should be playing. But yeah, I really can see that when you play, it just flows from you. It's just a natural. You can see the love for the instrument. So that's something that's very much necessary. So just give us a little bit about your background, a little bit family background, mom and son. Just tell us a little bit about your background and share with the audience, and we can move forward from there.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Well, we are not a professional pianist, so professional. We don't have no professional career in piano per se, but we have the gift of music. You know, we I think we're a musical family. Both his dad and myself, we have some background in music. We sing in choirs. His dad is a singer. He traveled around singing as well. I play the piano by ear. My son bypassed both of us. so yeah, so that's where he started. He started playing piano say, from 3 years old, as he said. Um, he showed his passion for piano. Started with him coming to me and telling me he wanted to learn piano. You know, as a custom when I was married, I used to before I go to bed, I usually just play the piano a little bit. So he heard me playing, and he came to me and said to me, "Mom, I would love to learn to play the piano." So we noticed that he has something in him that towards music. So his dad and myself, his dad found someone, Mr. John Tatum, to started to give him piano lesson, and that's how he got started. But his first little song, I thought he made, and he actually had his first audition at his school at 3 years old, 4 years old, I'm sorry, elementary school, where he performed his first piano little piece. So that's where we got started. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a very interesting story. I have a an older brother who also plays the piano, and is when you were telling how he just came to you and said that he wanted to play, he kind of reminded me of myself. My brother was I don't know why I remember this story. My brother was practicing one of his musical pieces in the den of our home growing up, and for some reason I decided to tell my dad, you know, that's what he's doing. That's easy. I can do that. And never played the piano. I mean, of course, no tinker around. Everybody played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and songs like that. So of course I did that initially, but for some reason this night or this evening I told my dad, hey, I can do that too. And I don't know why I told him that because the next thing I knew I was taking piano lessons. So and back then you didn't have a choice of whether or not you wanted to continue or not. I didn't have that option. Say, well, you okay? But that was fun, pop. So I'm done. You know that wasn't an option. So um, that's very interesting. So you always knew that that's something that you were interested in. You were surrounded by it. So great, great. So was there ever a time while you after you started lessons in Tinashe and you got into it and figured out what it actually took to actually play and practice? Ever had any issues with wanting to practice or not wanting to practice? Have or Z, did you ever have to push them to practice? How did that work out in the household?
Well, of course, with practice, it's just something you have to do. So not all the time do I just feel like practicing. Most of the time, I do. I do enjoy playing, so I do like to practice. But sometimes, there's always days and mornings when I wake up and I just don't feel like it. But I know that if I do want to improve and get better, then I do have to practice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will jump into that. I pretty much encourage him with word of affirmation. I remind him that this is a gift from God, and he needs to keep on practicing because you never know when opportunities may arise. So just be ready because you never know what the future holds. So it's just pretty much word of affirmation, and he has a team of encouragers within his team, his body of village. I would call it his dad is one, myself, my twin sister, his uncle, his first cousins, which are like his brothers, Mr. John Tatum, which on a weekly basis he keep practicing him and encouraging him to keep on going. And we are so grateful to see how far he had made it in piano. So this is something that we are tremendously grateful for. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, he has a wonderful gift, a wonderful touch. So just a quick question. I do want to go to one of your videos so that our audience can also be able to experience the gift that God has given you. So Do you have a favorite genre of music?
Um, I don't. I listen. I have so many favorites. I listen to all kinds of music, so it's hard to pinpoint just one. But well, I mean, I play classical music on piano, so I guess I could say that's my favorite per se. But I do enjoy all types of music.
Okay. Well, I do want to share. I'm kind of anxious to share this first video here of you playing. So let's take a listen to this first movement of the Mozart Sonata. You have a first movement here, and then we'll come back on the other side and talk a little bit more about where you are and what you do musically, and see where we can go from there. I want to dig a little bit more into where you would like to go with this music that you have been gifted with. So let's take a look at the video here, and we'll be back to talk some more in just a few moments. Okay.
Sounds good.
Hi, my name is Tinashe McGowan. I'm 15 years old, and I'm a member at Dallas City Temple Seventh-day Adventist. Today I'll be playing the Mozart Sonata K576 in D major, movements 1 and 2.
Like it.
Thank you.
So, walk me through your practice routine. How do you prepare to practice? How do you approach your pieces?
Well, if I'm not at school when I practice, usually, I like to practice earlier in the mornings rather than like in the afternoon. Like I like that to be like, after I eat breakfast or something. Like that's the first real thing I do. Usually when I practice, I'll maybe when I first sit down on the piano, I'll do a bit of scales and stuff, or like play a little like pieces I know, or just mess around a little bit, just to, get my fingers woke up and stuff. And
Mhm.
after, I like to go piece by piece, of all the pieces I know. Whenever I'm learning a piece, I like to like first read through it and then solidify the pages as I go. Yeah. When I know a piece, after I finish learning a piece, I'll go back. I'll focus on like dynamics and expression and all stuff like that.
Do you ever read up on the composers of the pieces that you are playing, as far as their inspiration, why they compose certain pieces of work, and just kind of get a feel or try to get in their heads, so to speak, as to why they write the music or wrote the music?
Yes, sir, I do. I think like when you read up on the background and the inspiration of the piece, it gives you a better idea of how to properly express the music and like to play it.
All right. So when you practice, how long is your practice sessions for?
Well, now that I'm in school, I can't practice for as long as I usually do, but I still try to get in an hour plus a day. But during vacation, when I have a lot of time, sometimes I'll practice 5+ hours, 5 to 7 hours.
Wow. Yeah, it shows. It does show. It does show. So, um, do you have a favorite classical musician or composer or pianist that you kind of lean more towards?
I have many, but some would have to be like Martha Argerich, um, Vladimir Horowitz, Arthur Rubinstein, people like that.
Right, right. So when when you and I kind of crossed paths some years ago, and I heard you play, your classical piece that you played in church that week. Shortly after that, I was involved with a church that was recording. They had a album that they were doing, and one of the songs that we presented or that we recorded was for the children's choir. And actually, while we were in the studio, we were talking about having a release concert where we would choose certain of the songs to be utilized in the release program. And I had a thought. I'm like, I wonder if Tinashe could come in and play this. I just thought it would be nice to have someone who kind of looked like the kids. Though you at that time you were the same height as they were. Now you're taller than I am. So, over eye to eye. But those years ago, I was like, I thought it would be kind of cool. But at first, I was kind of like, I don't even know if he even play gospel like that. No, he wasn't a hard gospel song, but you actually came in and you took it like a champ, man. You came in and it was funny. One of the musicians, you sat with the musician for the duration of the concert, and one of the musicians that was there with him said, "Man, he just hanging out with us like he just belong here." Like, man, the way he play, he does. Not the way he played does. So that, just tell me a little bit about that experience. How was that experience for you?
And it was great. That was really, I think, my first time playing with a formal church band, like together with the band. So it was really great. I think that was also like one of my first times actually working with gospel. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that was actually your first time doing like working with gospel. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So have you put in any more after that? Have you dabbled a little bit more into gospel?
Yes, sir. I'm actually in the gospel band at my school. We have a gospel
Ah,
band. We have a choir and the band with a guitar, bass, organ, keyboard. So I'm in there.
all right. So tell me a little about your school. Tell us about the school that you're attending and your musical experience there.
I go to Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts. It's great. This is my second year there. It's a great school. It's an art school. It's really an experience. Like when you walk in there, all you hear is music. You if you hear in the distance, you hear a person singing. You hear a person playing the trumpet. You hear the orchestra and band warming up in the background. It's just great. So yeah, really enjoy it.
So that kind of give you a little bit more of a push or inspiration when you're around other musicians and other people playing.
Yes, sir.
All right, so good, good. I think it's always good to have that exposure and to be around other individuals to kind of have that. I don't want to call it competition, but musicians are kind of competitive by nature. Uh, so, so you don't ever want to sit down and play, but I really messed that up. It makes you want to go in and to do more. So that's a kind of good thing with that. So you are at a pretty much a liberal arts school that you attend.
Yes, sir.
So where do you see yourself as far as in the future when it comes to music? Is that something that you want to pursue on a professional basis as you continue to grow?
Yes, sir. Definitely. When I grow up in the future, in college, I plan to study piano performance. I love to perform all around the world in the future. That'd be my dream.
Mhm.
All right, good. So you mentioned, of course, your piano teacher, Mr. John Tatum, who is a legend here in the Dallas area. Um, so, what type of do you have any other mentors or any other individuals that you are kind of look up to or you go to as far as your musical gift and try to give you some guidance in those regards as well?
Yes, sir. I have many mentors. Of course, like you said, Mr. John Tatum, my piano teacher, my family, my mom, my dad, my aunt, my cousins, everyone. I consider to me a mentor is just anyone who contributes to my knowledge of piano. So I have even some friends that I consider my mentors, and
Mm,
of course my piano teacher at school, Mr. Zuno.
okay, good, good. I'm sure they're all proud to see how you are how you have progressed and how you continue to progress and move forward into the future. Do you do any composing or do you do any original music that you work with or anything of that nature?
Uh, like not really. I don't really do much formal composing, like write it down and everything. But I do sometimes just mess around and improvise, and sometimes it'll end up turning into a little song. So
Yeah.
I've never actually like written anything down, but I do. I try it in the future.
Well,
Well, yeah, I think that's kind of one of the things that kind of happens naturally when you're at your instrument. My teacher, when I was younger, she hated. I mean, she told me this. I hate when you learn music by ear. She said that learning music by ear would mess up my reading because I would, and I did. I would play a piece and okay, and you kind of memorize it, from what you hear. But I think what she was saying was kind of take away from you actually reading the music, reading the dynamics or the expressions in the piece itself, because of course you may have that when you're doing a piece or when you're playing by ear, but they of course they want you to do it as it's printed on the piece of music. So I used to get in trouble all the time with that, and she actually discouraged me to playing for churches because as a kid that was my job. I would play for a church. My friends were at the grocery store back then, or you may not know anything about this or not, but back then we had brown paper bags.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you had they would call them bag boys or bag girls, where you would bag up the groceries, and they would actually take it out to the cars for the patrons at that store. So that's what my friends were doing. After school, they were going to work or to a fast food restaurant, and I would go home and practice or hang around and had to go to piano lesson. But my job was playing for churches at that point in time. So um, she didn't really care for that too much, but I never stopped. I was like, hey, they're paying, and at that time, churches were not paying to hear classical music. They wanted gospel music, so that's what I had to play. So, um, yeah, I really think that you're you're amazing with what your gift is. But one of the things that I always liked about you is that you, as gifted and as much as God has gifted you, you still maintain to me, a level head about you. So I know mom and dad has a lot to do with it, and maybe your family and friends. So uh, could you speak to that as to how they keep you grounded and how they keep you um, just being Tinashe?
They always tell me to stay humble. It's never good to, be boastful and stuff like that. So it's always great to keep humble. So they always tell me no matter what I do and how good I am, I always stay humble.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that would take you really far in life. I actually have a guest, but one of my friends, also a part of the network, Adventist Musician Network International. I have a maestro in her own right. She's amazing, Miss Karen Schofield Nail, and she's actually going to join us all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. So I'm going to bring her into this conversation so she can join in with us. Karen, good evening, Howard. Well, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, good evening. Lovely to see you and happy to be part of your program today. Good
Yes,
evening,
Good
mum
evening.
and son. Wow.
Good evening.
yes. Well, Karen, what I want to do, I want you to hear the second movement that Tinashe has given us tonight. We already did the first movement of Mozart's Sonata, and he also has a second movement. So, what I would like to do, since you are a musician extraordinaire and directress and musical background, the conservatory and all of that, I would like for you to hear this young man's the second movement of Mozart's Sonata, and then on the other side, I would love to hear your reaction and the conversation in regards to that. All right,
Oh, yes, I look forward to it.
all right, here we go.
Thank you.
Wow. Nice. Nice.
Thank you.
Karen, what you think? Think you're mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Wow, that was incredible.
Thank you so much.
Tinashe.
Thank,
Oh, absolutely exquisitely played.
thank you so
I
much.
loved the interaction between your left and right hand, the conversation that you created between your two hands. You really told the story so beautifully.
Thank you.
And I found that you had so much pathos. Um, Pathos in your playing. A very, very mature understanding of the piece. Really, really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the very interesting thing, or I guess one of the things that I really admire about classical music is, of course, all music I think should tell a story of the piece that's being presented, but you really have to get into a certain mindset, a certain place or space with classical music to be able to express. Um, of course, when you use a certain gestures, playing. Um, Even how you approach the note. You know, you have there's a lot of thinking that goes into it. You know, when when to play softly, when to make it more aggressive when you're playing, and when to how to the time. It's just a lot that goes into the classical playing that is really just amazing. So again, I concur with Karen. You know, I echo her the way you interpret the music and how you actually, as she stated, tell the story of the music. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I don't know if I was doing that at 15. I probably wasn't, but I'm sure I was just doing enough to get by. You know, I just wanted to get through that piano lesson without having my piano teacher screaming at me. That's what I was trying to do. But you can really tell the gift there and the love there for you. So
Thank you.
that's really great. So Z, I have a question for you.
sure.
When you
I'll
see
answer.
when you see him play, what what are your thoughts? How does that make you feel when you sit and see your son play so masterfully?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Karen, can you relate to me if you have any kid, any child? Wow. I just feel joy, happiness, content, accomplished. I see him developing into become the man that God created him to be. You know, I really I can be honest with you, sometimes I'm nervous. You know, I think I even more nervous than him when he goes up to play, you know, but it's a joy that passes all understanding. It's amazing to see your son becoming something bigger and bigger every time. So it's just joy and happiness and extremely grateful to God to see him developing in such a beautiful gift that God gave him. Yes. Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. So also, I'm sure that you have people who may, uh, I guess, come to you or whenever he performs or things of that nature. So I'm sure you get enough uh, additional support as well when individuals see him play or experience him playing. Now, I think I recall correct. I think I'm recalling this correctly. There was a piece I think on one of the local news channels some time back. That you were a feature of. Could you share a little bit of that? What tell us about that? How did that come about?
Well, the Van Cliburn. If you don't know the Van Cliburn, they're a really big. Van Cliburn was a pianist, and they founded this organization after me. They have competitions. They have one of the biggest piano competitions in the world. Just went on earlier this year. So they came to my school. I was going to Tio Marcellus at the time. They came there and they were showing the kids piano, and then they called me. I was playing a solo that day, so they called me up. I was playing, and then after, turns out Fox Four was there, so they came and they interviewed me on the news.
Nice, nice. That's really nice, really nice. So your mom says that she gets nervous when she sees you play. What about you? What do you get those musician nerves when you sit to play, or do you just kind of take it in stride?
Well, yeah, of course. I think everyone gets nervous.
Mm.
Like uh, a lot of times when I'm performing, I don't really get nervous until I like sit down and start playing. That's when the nerves really kick in. But before, I'm usually pretty calm.
And then it just
And
go
then
away, right?
yeah, and then I play, and then while I'm playing, I'll first be nervous, but then I'll calm down. I'll just start to enjoy the music and listen to what I'm playing, and I just have fun.
Yeah, I think it's an issue of focus. I often say to my students, and I always try to discourage any of the teachers using the word nervous, because then it's something that you're conscious about, and your head space is different. I just say, it's excitement before the event. So you have a bit of butterflies in your stomach, the adrenaline is kicking in a bit, so that is really a part of the euphoria before you actually start. The
Right.
excitement of, wow, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it for my audience, and everyone is going to see how I perform and how I interpret it. So, see it as a euphoria, see it as something, but not as nervousness, because nervousness has a negative connotation. And definitely, I don't think I see any of that there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the school that you attend, of course, like I say, is pretty much a liberal arts high school there. So do you all have what we used to have? Well, of course, on the collegiate level, we used to have this thing called jury, where we actually have to perform a piece in front of the entire music department. and
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but I was nervous.
All right.
Yeah, I think
I
everybody does at some
Yeah,
point.
Well, I mean, I think it was different, when you're playing in front of an audience of individuals. One of the things that my piano teacher would tell me as a child, as a kid playing, is she would say, if you mess up, just keep going, because
Mm,
if you stop, that's when you draw attention to it.
Mhm.
And most
yeah.
people, if you just keep going, they would not even know that you made a mistake. So just keep going. So I enjoy that part. But it was another thing when you were sitting in the front in the auditorium full of music majors, and
yeah.
we have professors there. I'm like, okay, well, they know that's not supposed to be there. So
Like for example, this year he had a lot of accomplishments. I don't know if he wants to share it with you, but he competed in various competitions, and it was a lot of people, professionals, people
Yeah.
there, and thank God he
Yeah.
managed to win first place in those as well. And
Let's
he
hear about
Yeah.
let's hear about it.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I competed in I think
some
around uh, five or more competitions this year.
mhm.
Uh-huh.
Um, I competed in the AXO competition. I won first place. I competed in the
How awesome.
Attendant for the Omega Sci-Fi fraternity, and
oh, okay.
first place in those as well, in district, local, and
Mhm.
I didn't win state. State, the last one I didn't win, but all the other ones I did get first place. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
like
incredible. Everything is about a learning phase and how we grow. It's not always just about getting first place.
yes,
It's
Mhm.
about, you are constantly moving from one level to another in terms of your development, in terms of your maturity. It's to have the exposure to perform and people to enjoy your music, and for your name to be out there.
Right.
So what I mean is three prong, and not always are we going to win, but that doesn't mean that you haven't won,
Right.
because winning means that you've done the very best you can.
like for me, like the fun and the joy of doing all these compositions and performances is like actually, just being able to sit on stage and
Mhm.
Yes.
for other people. And then like if I win, if I get first place, that's just like a bonus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much.
No, I love that. I love your growth. Wow. Mom, tell me, at which stage did you realize that your son had a gift?
I kind of said it earlier, maybe you weren't here, at 3 years old. He started
3 years old.
3 years
Wow.
old. That's when he first started. Yeah, he just had a passion for piano. He heard it in the house and he wanted to learn it. He wanted to learn it, everything about it. And to the point that we had to, both his dad and myself, we had to find a professional pianist, Mr. John Tatum, to help him to continue growing in the piano skills field. So he started pretty early. He started extremely early, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, amazing, amazing story of just how you just take everything in strides. That's a good
That's
thing.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And could I ask, when you learn your music, say for example, you were doing your Mozart, or a piano concerto or something like that, how do you learn your music? Let's hear what your
Well,
method.
usually when I first get a piece, of course, before I start learning it, I like to, go on YouTube, find recordings of pianists that I like. Like I'll find recordings of them playing the piece I'm playing. I'll listen to it several times, get an idea of the piece. Then when I actually sit down like on the piano, the first thing I like to do before, starting working like hard on detail and everything, I like to just, try to I read the piece through. I try to read it through like all the way and get a feel of it. Maybe I'll read through it a few times, and then after I read through the piece, I like to just like stop and solidify page by page so it gets in my memory and in my fingers and everything. And then once I have the piece learned, or at the same time while I'm doing the learning process, I like to do dynamics and expressions and articulation on the keys.
Mhm.
So in that process, are you taking it one hand at a time, or you doing it together, or then you do one hand and
Um,
do it together? How do you go through that?
Well, like I used to when I was younger, like do hands separately. When I practice a piece, I do, but for the most part, when I read through, I do both hands at the same time. It does help to do like hands separately, but a lot of times when I'm reading through it, I just read through it with both hands.
Mm.
You're my idol. I don't think I ever did it together. It was always left hand first, then right hand, then you put them together. Yeah, you're my idol, man.
Yeah, that's really great. And so you learn a theme at a time. Do you ever analyze your music? Does your teacher help you to analyze your music and see, okay, there's a concurrent theme, or and so this is how I need to emphasize it if this is a theme, or do you first make sure, okay, now I've got it in my fingers, because obviously that's how one memorizes. As soon as you actually have it in your hand, it is in your head.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I do focus on like what's going on. Like for example, in the Mozart, Mozart likes to use a lot of two note phrases and stuff. So I always analyze which note to emphasize in the two note phrase, and I'll pay attention to like where a scale is going. Like if it's going towards getting louder, or going towards getting quieter.
Mm-hmm.
That.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
because I found that you had such an ear to understand exactly how the phrase ended. You would emphasize the note and then make it softer. Really, really, very beautiful. Like, really, very for complete mastership.
Thank
Awesome.
you,
Good.
thank you so much.
Well,
Wow.
there is a. This has become one of my favorite videos. I want to share this with our audience, and I also want to have a conversation because I want to get your reaction to this particular piece. It's actually done by the Aeolians. It's a little lengthy. It's almost a 10 minute in length, but it has a full orchestra accompaniment with it, which is kind of interesting because today at church, because there was a orchestra, I guess a small orchestra there at service today. So I want to discuss how you feel orchestration adds its dynamics to a musical body of work or piece of work. For a particular song, just kind of see your mindset, how you think about how a song it sounds with just maybe a four-piece band of keyboards, organ, bass, whatever, versus a full orchestra accompanying a piece of work. So let's listen to this. This is again Oakwood University Aeolians, and then we'll have a little conversation about this on the other side. Okay. that has become one of my favorite videos to watch and to just listen to a piece of music. So now, Shay, I wanted to kind of get your reaction to that whole production of that piece of Jerusalem.
Wow, very very beautiful. It was amazing. Like the orchestra just adds so much more to the piece. The orchestra and the choir together, and then the
Mm.
piano in the background. It was amazing. I really enjoyed it.
So do you focus? Are you strictly focused on the instrument of the piano, or do you also uh, dabble with the vocal instrument as well? Are you into voices at all?
Well, of course, piano is my main instrument, but I have sang in choirs in the past, and I can sing. But I just don't. That's not my main focus, but I do.
Mm. Yeah, that piece. Um, are you familiar with that piece? It's called the
Yes, ma'am.
Holy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I've played it a few times.
Ah, yeah. Really beautiful contrast between the choir, the orchestra. It's really just to add dimension. I would say, Thomas, as soon as we, have an ensemble that's more than four players,
Hmm.
playing out the basic structure of soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and now it's been arranged into through the various instruments to create the color, to
Right.
create more tonality, make it more vibrant. And that was a beautiful arrangement of the Holy City, must
Yes, ma'am.
say. Yeah, it really related. Have you had the opportunity to play with piano and orchestra yet?
Yes, ma'am. I have. Actually, in middle school, I used to. My school had an orchestra, and I used to play
Mm.
with them. So we performed at several places around, Dallas. And I was actually supposed to play with an orchestra in LA, like a big orchestra. I was going to play the Beethoven Piano Concerto Number 1. I think that
Oh,
was back in 2019, and that was right when COVID started. So we weren't,
Yes.
unfortunately, we
mm.
weren't able to actually go through with it. But
Yeah, they
yes,
had
ma'am.
us to cancel it because of COVID. Yeah.
Oh, that pity. But now I think that you were given the opportunity then. But please try to find some opportunities for yourself to do that type of thing, because it adds a completely different dimension to your playing and to your experience. Hey, Mom, are you
Yeah,
able to get him a few opportunities?
yeah, absolutely. We are working on it, and his piano teacher, Jan Taylor, he's actually trying to. They have already contacted him, so we're waiting on the final say, and hopefully he will be given an opportunity again to play with the orchestra. We will give him more
Hmm.
experience in that field as well. Yes.
Yeah, I have a funny suspicion that you will have more than one opportunity in your
Yeah,
future
come his way.
to do that. I want to also kind of talk a little bit more. I know we touched on this somewhat earlier, but as far as your future with music, I mean, where are your intentions as far as college? Are you want to focus on performance, or what is it that your desire is to be in your future for music? As far as
Hmm. I think, yeah, I do want to do make piano performance around the world. Uh, I still haven't like decided on a specific college, but I'm thinking about a few, but I haven't really decided on one. But yeah, in my future, I do plan to. Or I'd love to go perform around the world with piano.
Mm, beautiful. Is there a particular genre that you enjoy more than others when you're playing?
I really do enjoy classical. I have to say is my favorite, but I really like jazz. I really enjoy jazz. Lately, I've been trying to get into it a little bit. So I
Mm.
like that.
I always think it's fantastic if you even if you explore later to have the grounding and the technical skill of classical music, because then you can apply anything. You can
right,
apply it
right,
because it's a completely different discipline,
right,
um,
right.
you know, to a different genre. So wonderful that you are completely developing in your classical tranche, and then later on, or as you say, you fiddle, you start experiencing um, jazz. You enjoy the genre of jazz and lighter music. Yes, for a pastime, as long as you are maintaining that. Your scales, how often do you work? Do you do scales with every
Yes,
rehearsal?
all the
Mm,
time. Skills.
all the time, eh?
Figuring, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you work from a specific book?
I do. I have the Hannon exercise book. I do
You've
work
got
from
that.
it. Yes, ma'am.
Mm,
I'll practice some of the exercises as a warm up.
He's well equipped. Well equipped.
yes, yes, yes. Just like a singer that has to have all of those exercises. That's critical for a pianist to have their hand in place.
Yes.
And so, do you do grades? Do you have
Grades.
yes any piano grades? Are you
Oh,
required at school?
well, at my school, yeah. We have recitals.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have one coming up in November, and then we have another one in February, and I think a few in April and May. So we're required to have pieces ready or learn pieces for those, and we also have like last year actually I played for a few like luncheons and breakfasts around the area. So sometimes he'll ask us to do those, a teacher asks us to do those. But yeah.
Fantastic. And are you also expected to learn theory and music appreciation and intervals, all of that?
Yes, ma'am. Every music student at my school is required to learn music theory. You don't some you can like test out of it. You can take a test if you already know the stuff you can test out of it. But yes, ma'am, you're required to. Right now, I'm taking AP music theory. So
Good. Good.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that music theory is critical. That's your foundation. So that's the thing. A lot of times, even from my experience, I couldn't touch a piano until we did theory first. So always stick with that theory, man. That is going to be your foundation. That alone will allow you to play any genre of music that you want to play.
yes, ma'am.
Because you can all. I'm sure you probably already heard this, but every instrument, voice, everything that happens musically, the theory starts with the piano, the keyboard. So you definitely have to. You're in a good place, man. You're definitely in a good spot.
So thank you.
So, Cal, I'm not sure if you were on when I shared a story when I first moved to Dallas. Tinashe was roughly around 5 years old, and I saw him playing church. Well, I didn't really see him. I heard him. He was a little bit smaller then, so so I heard
Uh,
him play, and later on I had the pleasure of asking him to play along with a choir that I was working with. We actually did a recording. We did an album, and one of the songs that we presented was for the children's choir. And
mm,
I just thought it would be cool to have him to come and play for the recording concert for the release of the album. He came and sat with the band, and I had one of the musicians lean over to me and said, "Man, say he sit up here like he belong up here." I'm like, "Wait,
ah,
wait till you need to hear him play. He does belong up here." So yeah, he's been
ah,
he's what I would call at the young age of 15. He's a seasoned musician in my book.
mm,
Okay,
mm.
it's a
Oh,
pleasure.
that's
It's a
fun.
pleasure just to watch him develop at a distance. Whenever I see him play. Um, Sometimes after church services, then he'll go to the piano and play. And I always try to make my round around the piano just to hear what he's doing on the piano
Yeah.
before then.
Oh,
It's really a joy to have him around.
it's a pity you don't have that recording. I would have loved to see that.
No,
Yeah.
I would have to check with that church to see if they still have it. I think we did videotape it.
Mhm.
But I'll check with them and see if they still have it. I'll see if they have it in their archives there.
Yeah.
Wow, just truly amazing. And I love the idea that you get so involved with other aspects as well. You're not just focused on learning and performing by yourself. but you also inclusive of singers, church groups. And that's really wonderful. And
Yes,
really, at the end of the day, that's what God wants us to do with our gifts.
yes,
Absolutely.
I agree.
So
Yes.
well done to you, Mom, because
Thank
you are um, training to be completely grounded.
Right.
you.
It's not just about wow, I can do this and wow, I can do that. You sound extremely level-headed,
Hmm.
and I like the humility, and with humility there must be a sense of achievement. It doesn't mean you mustn't be able to say yes. I have achieved this and I have achieved that. It's
Mhm.
wonderful that you are able to achieve all of these things. It's not something to look down upon. Really
Right.
Yes,
wonderful, and you have an incredible gift, and I know that God is going to continue blessing you with that, because that's what He asks, that the gifts that He gives us, that one develops it, and it will
Mm.
become bigger and greater
Yes,
because of that. And what I find interesting is, we talk about that development, but really what it comes down to is the discipline, the dedication, the commitment. Those are the things God actually asks for. And you are using that to His
Absolutely.
glory.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have enjoyed tonight's program. I think I told you already. I was kind of excited, leading up to this when I asked you some weeks back about coming on and being on the program. It's just I think that this platform that we have is meant to expose and to give as much exposure to not just the older saints or the more mature saints in our denomination with the gifts that we have. But I think it's also our responsibility to highlight those who are coming after us, because the truth of the matter is, the youth, those who are coming behind us, will be the ones that will continue the legacy of music, and
Mm,
also that will grow that and expand on that legacy of music. So, someone who has as Karen mentioned, the discipline, the humility, but also has been, of course, given the gift that God has given you, but not only using that gift, but you are building on that gift and you're making it to be better, and you're cultivating that. So that in itself is a marvelous feat. Continue to do what you do, man. I'm always in your corner. Whatever you're having to performance, I'll mask up. I'll I don't mind masking up and
oh,
support you in your endeavors, because I think that's important to make sure that our younger people know that we are supporting them, and not
yeah.
just only when they're playing in church. You know, so you have things that you're doing with school, you're playing with other groups and organizations. So I think it's important for us to support you even in those endeavors. Um, Let's make sure that you know that you have a community that supports you. We want to see you succeed, continue to succeed. So I'll ask you this as we get ready to close out. What would you, and I guess I ask both of you and also Z, what would you say to parents? When you have a child who has a gift, how do you, how would you advise them to nurture that gift, and how to also keep that balance with the gift and also the personal or your child as well. And also to Nashe, I would ask you, what would you advise? What advice would you give to some teenagers or even some that's younger than you, as to how they should approach the gift that God has given them?
Well, I believe that one way is for parents to see what their child wants, encourage them. If you see your children has a gift, you like music because they're like sponges, and the earlier the better. So if you see your child has a gift for music, find out what is that specific gift and support your child, because you never know, you could be having a future. Mozart, a future whoever. So just nourish that gift, support your child, and do everything in your hand to go after it, go after that God-given gift that a child has. Um, yeah, that's my advice to our parents, and that's exactly what I did. It's not only me, but his father as well. We saw him, we noticed he has something special in him, and we went after that. You know, he
Mm.
came to me, he told me I want to learn piano, and the first thing I could do is pretty much teach him what I know. So after that, just we just keep that planting. It's like water. It's like watering a plant. The plant is there. If you don't water it, it will never grow. So you water
Mm-hmm.
the plant so that it continue growing. And first of all, put God first. You know, put the gift of your son, in your child, daughter, son, in the hands of God, and let God use it. And keep them humble, because that's all what we said to him. Be humble, baby. We know that you're gonna go somewhere in this world. When everything, be humble, and give God the first hand of everything you do. So that's my advice to parents. I don't know what you want to tell teenagers.
To any teenager or younger kid that's trying to start piano or anything music, I would say, one, don't get discouraged because going into anything you won't start the best. So you
Mm.
always have to start from somewhere. So I know it can be discouraging, like when you see you play and you go see someone else play and they're better, and you wish you could be like them. But don't get discouraged. Just stay disciplined and keep at it, and you'll get there someday.
Yeah. And I that is so important because very often as young people you compare yourself so much to the next person, and then you lose the essence of who you are. So
Mm,
that's very, very critical that you keep your focus.
Right.
That's the one that I would say. And I think also another thing is that you will not always meet people who want the best for you.
mm,
There are people out there who will be threatened by what you represent.
right.
And it's important, number one, to constantly keep God as your director. So as long as you're on the path with God, no matter how famous you become, He will direct your path. He will continue steering you. And don't allow other people's negativity to impact you.
Amen.
Don't let it change who you are, what your gifts are, because very often, as gifted children, or I know I had that in part of my experience, and I actually allowed other people's opinions to impact me, and it destroyed my confidence for a while. Don't ever let that happen. Just think, well, that's how they feel, but I'm going to brush it off and I'm just going to remain focused. Just remain focused. Continue doing what you're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful.
Be-
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you always be the best you that you can be.
Yeah.
That's the thing in life. Always focus on, as Karen said, what God would have for you to be. Always consult Him and just continue to be the best version of you that
Mm,
you can be, and continue to work and strive for excellence. Listen, I enjoyed tonight's program. I enjoyed the conversation, man. Like I said, Tinashe, you're my idol, man. So just keep
Oh,
doing what you're doing, man. I enjoy every time I see you play or hear you play. I just smile inside. It's good to see that
mm,
that passion, that love for it. I mean, I would never even play classical music at church. I mean, especially not after service. You hear all this gospel all service long, and then go to a piano and just build out a classical piece. I'm like, okay, I would never thought to do that. Actually, I was trying to hide it as at your age that I play classical music, but it's good that you are in the place where you have found what God has given in you, the ministry that He's placed in you, and man, just keep going. Anything that we can do, anything that I can do to support, just let me know. We'd love to be there for you. Thank you both again for being with us tonight with the AMNI for our Saturday night AMN live program. I'd like to
hmm
thank my friend all the way over in Cape Town, South Africa, Mary.
It was an absolute pleasure to be part of the program. I am so inspired by you, Tinashe,
Thank you
and
so much.
really you've done a sterling job. Your parents have done a sterling job to support
Absolutely.
you. And I praise the Lord for having been exposed to you today. Wonderful.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you.
Yes.
It's
Thank
good.
you.
Again, thank you all for being with us. I'd like to thank all of our viewing audience, those that joined live tonight, those who may see the rebroadcast on whatever media outlets you may see it. Thank you for joining and being a part of this ministry and for your support. And until next time, you all take care, be safe, and God continue to bless you and keep you. All right, everyone, you take care. Have a good night.
Good
Good
night,
night.
All
everyone.
right.
Good.
Good
Thank
night,
you, Tom.
everyone. Thank you.
Good night.